I'd like to call Village of Wolverine Lake Council meeting Wednesday order. Please stand for the pledge of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Scott. York.
Here.
Singlewitz.
Here.
Nedrow.
Here.
Dumont.
Here.
Duff.
Here.
Mallett.
Here. I've heard from Mr. Scott, and I know he's not going to be here tonight.
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse him.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Additions to business. We have none. And I don't believe we have any correspondence. So,
the agenda?
Yeah, I guess we moved it over there.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we will approve the agenda. I don't think we have any additions, so,
We have called public.
yeah, it's right, we changed it up a little bit, I guess. It's on the
Another change?
second
No.
half on
Oh, no.
on 4.
No, it's
I
been
thought
this
we
way.
were done. You promised.
Yeah,
It's
well,
been this way.
I didn't see it over there either, but anyways, the back half of item 4 is approval of agenda, so.
So moved.
Motion by Duff. Second. Second by Malik to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries on that. Now we have no correspondence. Right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Moving on, first call to public. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items only. Mr. McGee.
John McGee, 814 Wolverine Drive. When we get to the presentation of the Citizen of the Year Award, I'd like to say a few words. Thanks.
As long as you keep it under 5 minutes, please.
Me run long. And
I know, thank you. Certainly, we can open up to Mr. McGee on that. Seeing none other, we'll move to the consideration of approving the following consent agenda. So we've got the minutes of the council meeting from last month. We've got a list of warrants and receive and file of reports from the building department, code enforcement, fire department, or fire report, and the police report. So
moved.
Second.
motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion on that? Okay, roll call, please.
York.
Yes.
Singlewitz.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Mallett.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We have no board appointments. So we get to move on to the presentations. The first one we have is the presentation of the 2019 Citizen of the Year for Monique McGee. And we had a couple nominees, and administrative committee got together and decided that Monique was our lady for the year, so.
Would you like me to read this?
Sure.
Yes, Monique McGee is the recipient of the year 2019 after being nominated by Mark Geremini and approved by the admin committee. Just the following, Mark stated that Monique's involvement and impact in the community is quite vast. If there is an event, activity, or fundraiser, chances are she has been involved. She has served on the historical team and onwards and upwards. She is always one of the first volunteers to help with the corn roast. She photographs multiple events, and she has been a strong supporter of this community at any event she attends. She is there with a positive attitude, welcoming to others, and very easy to work with. When people talk about Wolverine Lake being a great place to live, it is because of people like Monique.
And I think Mr. McGee would like to say something.
Well, so would Mrs. McGee.
Okay.
Later, lady. You gotta want to say some nice things about you first. So when Monique was told she was going to win this award, her first response was, "There must be some sort of mistake. Why me? What do I ever do?" And it's occurred to me sometimes that I think a lot of people don't realize how much Monique does and has done over the years for the community. It didn't occur to me that Monique was one of the people unaware of how much she has done. So I wanted to just read a few things about what she's done over the years in this community, for the village, for neighbors, for everybody. There have been years of waterfowl counts, boat counts, goose nest destruction, goose roundup, fishing contest judge, and prize packer. That particular one comes with the sacrifice of our living room a few years when we ran the fishing tournament and kept all the prizes there. Volunteer extraordinary at a wide variety of village events, as mentioned in the nomination. And in addition to actually volunteering at all those various events cheerfully and happily, she has often distributed a huge number of flyers for the events beforehand, letting people know that they're happening. A lot of people know her as the village photographer for just about everything, but especially Snacks with Santa, Easter Bunny Lunch, and the annual golf outing. A couple things about those. There's literally a generation of children in the village who have every picture they have with Santa Claus or Easter was taken by Monique. That happens a lot. It takes a lot of coordination before that event and after those events to get the printer set up, to get all the paper set up, to get everybody's names, to get things to people. There's always somebody who wants a version emailed afterwards. People sometimes think, wow, it's great that you've got this trained photographer to do this. Monique's not a trained photographer. She was just somebody who stepped up when we needed somebody to do it, picked up a camera and said, I'll do this and I'll make this happen. I also want to mention that in addition to all that work, she almost never gets to eat dinner after the golf outing. We all get back to the golf outing. She's still arranging photos. By the time she gets in, usually the food is gone. I mean, she does these things, and there are a lot of sacrifices in there. Probably if she had a smarter husband, he'd buy her dinner every now and then.
True.
A few more things. We mentioned that she's been with the village historical team. She was for a long time their technical coordinator as they tried to get all of the village's history into a digital format, into a way it could be preserved long term, and that involved a lot of detailed work. And then she eventually, was head of that committee for a while as they wrapped up their work. She most recently agreed to serve as interim president of Onwards and Upwards because they needed somebody to do it, and Monique stepped forward and is doing that. When she got the email telling me she had won, she said, "Why me? I don't do anything." And then she agreed to actually come and get the award. And she said, "Yeah, you might as well do it Wednesday because Deb and I are coming down to explain what we're doing with the boat rally this year anyway." This is true. I'm not making this up. Beyond village events, she also is a huge presence in our neighborhood and with our neighbors. She's a tireless supporter of folks in our neighborhood, mowing lawns and shoveling driveways for older neighbors, helping ill neighbors get to medical appointments, picking up other people's kids from school, 100 other things. I did hear from a few neighbors about what they had to say about the award, so I want to read a couple items here. From Sharon Swarpel. "What wonderful news. It simply made my day to read this. She is tireless in her giving and generous with her time. Her sunny disposition makes everyone love Monique. Congratulations, well deserved." From Pat Littlefield. "Well deserved, most selfless, caring, and hardworking person. Can't think of someone who deserves this honor more than Monique." From Terry Tucci. "So well deserved, Monique. You are always so incredibly kind to my grandkiddos. You take the best pictures ever." And from Missy Cushman. "Monique is a beautiful person. Her charm and laugh are infectious. She is truly one of the kindest people that I've ever known. She is caring and giving to all who know her, and even those who do not. Monique has helped me so much in this past year and even beginning this year. There are no words to describe my boundless gratitude. I am truly blessed to have her in my life. I am glad she is being honored by Wolverine Lake in this way. It is definitely well deserved." And I also want to mention she does all these things while she works full-time running a small business. She is not sitting around waiting or looking for things to do. She does all these things. And then, after days filled with all of this, she gets home at the end of the night and she says, "I don't know why I'm so tired." This is also true. But that's why, and I just wanted to come down and thank you for recognizing one of the truly stellar lights in the village, the light of my life, and just to let her know that all of us recognize all the things that you do, and so this is well deserved. So, thank you.
Very well stated.
Wow. Thank you so much. I had this whole thing, but we've gone on a long time now, so I just want to say I'm like one little person in a vast army of volunteers that makes this village what it is. And The reason I said why me, I do little bits here and there, that's all. And so many, all of you are volunteers in a sense that are on council. All the boards are filled with volunteers. Thousands of hours a year go into making this village what it is. I'm just one little piece of that. And so I'm so humbled and honored that anybody here, Mark, thank you very much, would think to put my name forward as, being worthy of, this recognition when, God, there's just enough, everybody should be getting so much more recognition than they do. So thank you from deeply, thank you.
Okay, don't sit down, Mike. Let's present you with this back. Thanks so much for all your help.
You gonna take it, John?
Monique, didn't you show him how to use the camera?
The card is full of pictures. I want to turn this way.
Oh, John broke the camera.
That'll work. Thank you.
Congratulations, well deserved.
This is why Monique takes the pictures now.
Okay, well, that's great. Moving on, recommendations from our engineer, Mike Powell. First one's Greenway Drain. Statement request from American Marine, the amount of $20,600.
Yes, and I personally want to thank Monique as well. I agree that she is a light in the village. So, the first request, council, is for the payment for ASI. I've held on to it for quite a while because I wanted ASI to understand that they should have probably stepped up and done their normal stellar job in the village. And this time we actually had to hire a contractor to come behind them and repair some of the shoulder work they did. So as I stated in my letter, ASI's quote for the gravel shoulder work on all the roads that they paved, they invoiced us for $27,404.80. I am recommending that number be reduced by the amount that we had to pay the subcontractor JJM of $3,420.16. So the payment for ASI should be in the amount of $23,984.64. That's my recommendation to council.
So moved as stated.
Second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Duff. Any discussion?
Yes, Mike, what was the reason for that? Was it just they were in a hurry, weather? Because, we'd like to use them again, but if they're going to do a slipshod job.
I'll tell you, it was very interesting because in previous years, their paving crews have been so busy that they hired a landscaper to come behind them to do the road shoulders. This year, for some reason, they had their paving crew actually doing the shoulder work, and it was very obvious that they really should have probably stuck to paving. And so they put it in with a front-end loader and just didn't have the care that we like here in the village. So we had to come back, smooth it out, remove, replace, and do some TLC. So that's why I recommended that we reduce their amount.
Would you recommend them for a project in the future?
In a heartbeat, absolutely. Okay. They're very, very good contractor.
All right.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to.
We already had a motion.
We voted, right?
So is that all that we owe them for last year's work?
It is not. We are holding about $33,000 in retainer. I like to hold on to that until springtime because, as you know, we anticipate the winters to wreak some havoc on some of the roadways, and I go back through all the roads, and they have to, by our contract with them, guarantee the roads for a year. Mm-hmm. So we hold that until they come back and repair.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yes.
Did they have any response to the withholding of the $3,420?
They did not.
Okay.
And I didn't make a major deal of it, whether or not they eventually do make a statement, but it's really difficult for them to argue with my stance on this.
Okay. Okay, roll call vote, please.
York.
Yes.
Sinkowitz.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Dumont. Duff.
Yes.
Malik.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm sorry I kind of took it out of order.
That's okay.
The Greenaway Drain, that contract, although the council awarded it, if you recall, we were waiting to find out whether or not there would be additional fees to deposit the silt that's going to be removed from that into a hazardous waste site versus a normal site. We did the testing in 2 locations based upon the requirements of the landfills. It does not have to go to a hazardous waste, but it has to be handled a little bit differently. So their final price is still $10,000 under what we had it budgeted for of $20,600. I also want to let council know, if you read their contract, it's more of a contract for a private landowner. I have worked it out with the company that they understand that this is the Village Wolverine Lake. We don't pay down payments. We don't pay half up front, and they're very acceptable that when they finish the work, they will be paid.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with American Marine for the $20,600.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Malik. Any discussion on that?
Yes. Quickly, are they going to restore it the way it was, the gabion wall and the stone inside it?
No, the DPW is doing the gabion baskets.
Okay.
And we're just sweetening up that front
All right.
area there. So I met with Andy today, and he's getting that scheduled to do. They are just doing the sediment basin behind the gabion baskets.
Okay. Will they be removing the wall, or will our DPW?
The DPW is going to do all that
Okay.
work.
Good. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Roll call vote on that, please.
York.
Yes.
Sinkowitz.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Dumont.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Malik.
Yes.
Thank you, council,
Okay,
very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, next one is Parks and Rec Board Chairperson, and we got a little report on the Veterans Memorial Committee. Mark?
First, I will talk about the Veterans Memorial, and then I'll address some things regarding Parks and Rec. We're going to get it up here on the screen here so that everybody can kind of see what we're working with and what we're looking to pursue. Now council has this handout and everything else to see that what we're looking at, here it is this is the basic design that we want to use to go out for bids or an RFP. And today we are looking for council to approve this, as has been approved by both the subcommittee and Parks and Rec, to go out and start seeking bids for this design. Black and white obviously doesn't do it justice, but there are 2 brick colors that we are going to have in there.
I don't know what they want to do.
This will be get you the actual word, the regimental red will be the soldier course, which is this part here that runs all around. And then the interior will be a lighthouse gray mix. As you can see, here is where the flagpoles will be. This is the American flagpole. This is how far we've moved from where the existing flagpole is over. This will be the feature, which we are right now talking about a water feature. That would be ongoing to create a second attraction beyond the flags themselves. And this walking path would be centered on the parking lot and extend forward about 25 feet. And then also we'd have this second access point that would extend down to the stone pathway of the, I guess, the Vita Trail. So I know today we had our project manager meet with Engineer Powell, and they were able to work out some things and some questions and concerns we had. So we are ready to go on not only seeking bids, but then further, continuing with further fundraising.
See the color.
That'd be great.
Yeah, well, it looks like you've simplified it a lot, Mark.
By getting rid of some of this section, we really reduced the cost. It also it makes it much easier to keep it clean. We'll be having benches in this section as well and everything else. And that way, it makes it a little more effective. And this gives you a little more of a feature of what we're kind of looking at here. Ignore the plant selection for now, just because could vary a great deal going forward. But this gives you an idea of kind of how we're going to structure it and what we're looking at doing. Yeah, there's two more.
So I think those benches look like the type that can be moved around. The intention is to have something
We are going to anchor them. They're going to be anchored in there. We don't want them moving because we want them in a spot where there are no memorial bricks underneath there, just plain old pavers, because we don't want somebody's name being, covered up or anything like that. So they will be put in place to ensure that they aren't moving around. And the flagpoles will be the branches, and then the final one will be the POW MIA.
That seems to be a much more logical approach to what we want in the park than what we've seen in the past. Last question, you mentioned fundraisers. You guys haven't had a fundraiser yet, have you?
We've had fundraisers in the past. We recently went to the Suburban Showplace, the home show,
Okay.
and raised money there. So we have been raising money through those venues through those avenues as well. Currently, we are looking at a couple different possibilities of locations. One of our members is pursuing that to have additional fundraisers to raise money in those aspects as well. And then here is the video.
Oh, wow.
Kind of gives you an idea of the approach and how it would look.
That's the first for a while. Yeah. First the ducks.
I'm really curious about what type of fundraisers have been thought of doing to raise money instead of just donations. A raffle, a dance, a
Well,
euchre
dinners,
party?
of course, dinners and things of that nature. Of course, we're selling bricks that are going towards our main source of revenue. And we are intending now that as soon as we are able to, now that we have a more presentable presentation, we can go to corporations and things of that nature to gauge their interest and so particularly sponsoring various aspects of the memorial itself.
So basically, it's donations.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is
Privately-
what's
it's
been
privately
pretty much all
funded,
the way
yeah.
along, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're probably gonna mostly fund it through yourselves and through the donations, right?
Yes.
That's what we've discussed all the way
Oh,
along.
yeah.
So there's been, nothing's been changed except for the design here, so.
Right, the designs has been
And I think
polished up.
What you're
and-
asking, if I'm correct, is you're just asking for an okay on the concept and.
And then so we can go off for RFPs with a
Start
hardscape,
getting bids.
on the
Right.
hardscape,
I'll make
yes.
that motion.
Second.
Motion by York, second by Dumont.
I have a question.
Sure.
How are brick sales going?
Brick sales have been good overall. We are sitting over 20,000 in total in our basket, and we've done about, as of my last entries into the system, we're about 90 bricks. That varies between 4x8 and 8x8.
Yeah, 10,000 was it?
And then we've got additional donations just in cash and things like that. And we've sold a bench as well, so.
Now, you want to do that center area with the bricks with the names, am I correct?
That's where the veterans and war, military-related ones will go. Along this path will be non-veterans, people who just like
Do you have
family
an
names,
estimate?
sponsors, and
Do you
so
have an
forth.
estimate of approximately how many bricks we need to promote, sales for, or to do this?
Oh, to reach our,
Yeah, to
well,
reach the goal.
yeah, we do have an idea. It's going to partially depend on what this bid comes back as. We don't have estimates from, well, we don't have quotes, I should say.
No, what I'm looking at
But
is,
our target number is about 60 to 80,000 overall. And for the total,
You got a little bit.
every phase of the project. But for phase one, which is the hardscape, we are confident that we are closer to the end than the beginning, so.
well, again, I'm just looking for an approximate number of bricks we're going to need, because all of us talk to people, and it's say, in conversation, you can say, hey, we've sold 8,000 bricks, we need 4,000 more, how about buying one? And I'm trying to get an idea of how many total.
Well, if we sold if our 4x8s are $100, our 8x8s are $225, so if we sold strictly bricks, no other product,
Right.
no other cash donations whatsoever, To reach that point, you would have to sell 300 for each, 300, 100, 4x8s, and then another about 50 8x8s to get there, kind of thing. So we do have the numbers that we are targeting and progressing towards, and are pleased relative to what we've been spending on advertising and so forth.
Sure.
That we are outpacing that rate.
You're way on your way. Thank you.
how much the flagpoles are now? Yeah.
We got a long way to go.
We,
Yeah.
They're saying they've
not
got pretty much
100%, we might
hardscape.
switch which ones we're using. We were at the home show, and we were talking to a fellow about his
Pathway.
and things like that, but we are,
For 20,000.
Until you can do it all at once, you don't do it piecemeal.
we don't, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yours is reserved, yes.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
case. We'll find out.
She's reserved, yeah.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
You just mentioned a little while ago, you were talking that you had most of the hardscape covered. Well on
Yes.
your way, right?
Well on our way. For the
So
quote,
I guess what,
This is phase one.
phase
Yeah.
one is,
Phase one.
getting all the bricks, basically, the pathways in and flagpoles, is that correct?
bricks and,
What's phase one cover roughly?
bricks and flagpoles, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And site work, we're gonna prep the beds.
Right.
Right. Which
Okay.
you can kind of see, even though this is not the official form we go out with quote for, this is kind of what it's,
That makes
what
no sense.
we'd be seeking
If they
from,
run out of money, then you have to build structure.
Yeah.
You're saying, he's saying that they've got enough to cover the
Yeah,
pathways,
I
right?
got that.
But the
Pathways.
landscape part is
But
the
the landscape,
lesser
yeah.
expensive of the part, is like what
Yeah.
you're getting at. The hardscape is the majority of it.
I think you gotta get the hardscape in first though,
Yeah,
right?
but I don't,
yeah, we're not even,
20
at
plus
this
20
point, we're not
grand.
concerned about the
Hardscape.
landscaping, we're concerned about getting the hardscape in, and then the
I
rest of the
think logically,
components.
once we get a appraisal of what it's gonna cost from beginning to end, then now they have a goal to set, how much money they have to come up with to start the project.
Right.
But to start it and then do a little more and do a little bit more piecemeal like that.
Well, I think they're just asking for approval at this
Yeah.
point of the
We just
concept.
want to, we're
so they
not
can go out
looking,
and get
we're not getting
bids.
approval to build, we don't have any quotes or any contractors to work with,
So that's
but we
what
do
they-
need
that's what I'm
permission from
saying.
council to seek to go out for bids.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Well, we did.
Oh, you did.
It's already on.
We're just in
I've been
discussion.
behind on motions. Call for the vote.
Okay.
Ed, you just want your
No more
name up.
discussion. Okay, so I think we got consensus.
I just want to add one more thing before we go to the bonus. Seem to be getting a lot of action on the Wolverine Lake, even though it's not not the village's website, it's a resident.
Oh, we're not done with Parks and Rec, we're just voting on this.
No, but I'm saying it would be good to advertise that we're selling bricks for the Veterans Memorial.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah, I was like, I wanted it to cool a little bit before
That's an
we transition.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, and we do have a Facebook page, the Veterans Memorial, that was launched at the end of July,
Right.
so
Okay,
everybody out there, friend us, like us, that'd be great.
well, let's get a roll call on this one then, just for the heck of it.
York,
yes.
Singlewood,
Yes.
Medrow.
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Mallett,
Yes.
Very good.
And if you don't mind now,
Great job.
thank you. I'd like to
Now we'll get on to the rest of it.
cover Parks and Rec and things like that, some things that have come up recently. I'd like to address and correct the record regarding the councilman's statements pertaining to Parks and Rec and myself at the December 11th, 2019 council meeting. For reference, the comments started around the 2-hour, 12-minute, 30-second point in the meeting. First were comments regarding a spring garage sale. The councilman quotes me as saying that it was too much work or too much aggravation. That's not accurate. At the April 10th, 2019 council meeting around the 2-hour, 35-minute, 30-second point, I was asked about not having a spring garage sale, and my response was, after discussion and review, it didn't go very well, didn't get a lot of visitors, we decided it wasn't worth putting on. At the July 10th, 2019 council meeting around the hour 39 point, I was asked again about the garage sale, and my response was, last year was the first one, it did not seem to do too well for the public, so we decided not to go with it. Then regarding the comments about a car show at the corn roast, he stated that there was a guy that wanted to volunteer. He did the car show the year before. We think we had maybe 12 cars, and there was plenty of room, and he was going to put some flyers out and try to expand that. And when I asked the chairperson about that, he said, you know, we had to give out 15 or 20 hot dogs, and it cost too much money. At the July 10th, 2019 council meeting previously referenced, I did say that we did have to give out free food, but I also stated that the car show was a revenue loser, not a revenue generator, eating into our profits. Rather than have a car show that has not been a financial benefit, we decided to go another route. We were not, in fact, approached by anyone that year to put on a car show, including the person who did it in 2018. No one attended a Parks and Recreation meeting or contacted the board offering to put on a car show. Instead, we ended up using the space previously used for the car show to expand our array of vendors whom sign up and pay a fee to attend, providing us revenue at no cost. And then per the councilman's comments on the fishing contest, the contest has traditionally been held close to the date of the corn roast, as it is at the corn roast where winners are announced. There have not been complaints about the date of the contest. The only complaint in the last couple of years was that it was canceled in 2018. Fortunately, it was picked up by the Lakes Area Bait Shop for that year, and I made sure that there was no cancellation in 2019. That does not mean that we are inflexible in the idea of scheduling it for a different month, but it is not as though, but there is no shortage of fishing events in August when you look at the DNR. Additionally, I am 100% in support of abiding by all laws, rules, and regulations, and if one has concerns that they have not been followed in the past, then please inform the board. There is little that can be done after the fact other than prepare for next year. Also, please provide that information and documentation so that the chair of the event can make the necessary adjustments and make sure we are in compliance. That doesn't matter which event it is. I always want it done right and done by the law. I'd like to now move on quickly to the January 8th, 2020 council meeting and the decision regarding the spring garage sale. I'd like to note that spring garage sale has not been a regular event. It was that 2018 was the first in at least recent memory. Additionally, the chair of that spring garage sale in 2018 stated that participation was low, and he thinks that staying with just the August sale would be better, as you can see in the June 18th, 2018 Parks and Recreation minutes. So our decision not to go with one was not ill-informed. It was based on feedback and experience. The 1 hour, 4 minute, 39-second point of the January 8th meeting, the councilman said they don't do anything with it, and there was agreement from some other members. And the truth is, we don't do a ton. We schedule the garage sale, we distribute flyers, we post them online, we hang the banners, and we try and stop by some participating houses to see how things are going. It's not overly intensive, but we do something. But simply because the garage sale is not a labor-intensive event doesn't mean it shouldn't be under the P&R umbrella. We're not just free labor. The idea that because an event is minimal work, it can be taken by council at any time is a bit insulting and disrespectful, as I see it and the board sees it. It is certainly within the council's power, but is it right? Not a single member of the public has attended a PR meeting requesting a spring garage sale, nor complained that there was not one last year. Council never even made a formal request for a Parks and Recreation to consider a spring garage sale, let alone have one. If a council member would like an event, they need to respect the entire hardworking Parks and Recreation board and come to a meeting as a member of public and make that suggestion like anybody else. Thank you, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, with that, I guess we'll move on.
You want to just show them? We're having technical difficulties with
Website.
but at least I can show you a JPEG of it.
Yeah, moving on to the website.
Yeah. We're back live. Website. Oh, good, we are. So YouTube is back up live.
Yeah,
So this is
great.
what the new website looks like. It's been active now for about a month or so. We're still working through a lot of things, updating stuff. I would really like to, we can't activate it here, but whenever you have time, go out
Yeah,
and look
check it
at
out.
it.
It's great.
Check it out.
Real
We
easy to
have-
use and clear.
Yep, it's clear. We tried to get to the I don't want to say the aqua, but the feel of Wolverine Lake, that there's our image, that's, the birds, the lake, the blues, the color and all that Revise worked with us. We're able to put a little link on there as an alert, so there's a lot of fun features on it. You can direct to our social media accounts up at the top. Any of the things, we can have different things. We're gonna have a form. I've been working on trying to get the form for the vacation checks to actually have an embedded form, so you don't have to come in. You can actually just do it. I'm working on it right now. Just trying to get that up there and doing. provided to all the residents, but each of those things you can link to. We're trying to get more photos, so I've reached out to some people to try and get more, because we'd love to have any photos out there. So any events, any things like that, that you want to do it, Monique, John, anyone? We'll put them up there. I'll make sure to credit whoever they were from, but take a peek at it. If you have any questions or concerns, let myself know.
Quick question, is
Sure.
our logo up there?
Yes, it's up there.
Right up on the top left.
Okay, I got a.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's the
Okay,
JPEG, but
as long as it's there.
it's we try to make it as user friendly as possible and still maintain kind of that feel that we had, but update it to modern technology. So we still have a system in there where I've actually already gotten a couple residents. You can do a how do I, and you can say if there's an issue in the village, and it comes through if there's a police issue, a lighting issue, a pothole, whatever it might be. It'll come to me, and then I can direct it to wherever, so you can actually do that and state that there's an issue as an e-notification to me. And then I'll direct it to the DPW or whoever. And then we have the alert, so if there's ever in the future we have a snow emergency or there's something on there, that little black box in the corner, currently I have it stating village council agenda, it'll pop up and it'll say water main break, whatever you could possibly think of, that we can have an alert. We might have a thing, hey, remember election day is upcoming, whatever, so it always appears. And then the visitor can always click and close it out, but at least it's there as a kind of like a friendly reminder. I have it linking to the current council agenda and video that is now live, so. We take a moment, let me know, give positive, negative, whatever you want, and feedback, we'd love to hear it, so.
Yeah, I checked it out, I liked it, and I liked that it had the alert there in the corner, especially with all the comments going on Facebook about council meetings and
Yes.
agendas not being clear. So it was nice that the agenda was right there and easy to click on.
That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to use. Great. Thanks for the update on that. Moving on, no public hearings tonight. Moving on to new business. A, request for the use of Lucille Road ending for the annual lake rally. And Debbie and I guess Monique are here for that. And I don't know if anybody has any issues with that, but I think it's a great idea.
As long as the neighbors
Yeah, as long as the
aren't
neighbors-
happy,
Didn't
I
seem
think
to have
that's
any
a great idea that
Yeah.
you guys do that. It's a neighborhood thing.
We need a motion.
Kiddos that live right next to it, they actually wanted to do it, they wanted to have it at their house, but I think it's gonna,
Yeah.
move over,
Yeah.
there's gonna be folks parked
Yeah.
further over. And then the people on the other side, I didn't talk to them, the Dittos talked to them, and they
Said they were okay.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
can't
a
remember, is
great
the house
idea.
was still
I'd like
for
to
sale
make a
on the other
motion that
side?
we allow
No.
the Lucille Road ending to be used for the annual lake rally.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Mr. Malik. Any other discussion on it?
Nope, go for it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to resolution for budget amendments for fiscal year 2019-2020. And the treasurer?
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Just a letter
to the
together on that?
brief memo that I supplied you. We do this periodically through the course of the fiscal year. We're acknowledging, for example, the fact that we're getting the Commerce Township rebate of the .3 mills. Remember, that agreement had expired, and at the time we were adopting the budget, it was not in play yet. And there's some other things. We're doing the, spending the money. We will have expended the entire cost of the new software system within the course of the fiscal year. That's there. The other things are considerably smaller in nature.
Like you said, we ended up going over a little bit on the generator installs, I think.
We're not there yet, but it looks like it's going to be. That's not incorporated here. I'll have to, I didn't run figures until today, and it's just a matter of, once we're final, I think I can give you a better idea. I wasn't sure at the time I wrote this last week, so.
Okay.
Mike, I just wanted to
Make
say.
a motion
why-
to accept.
why- Go ahead, Bob, make the motion. Go ahead.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion for Mr. Malik to accept budget amendments and second by Duff. So, okay, go ahead, Walt.
Do you know why we were so far off on so many items? I mean,
Like what specific?
well, general services, we were off, administrative, financial services, police, public works, lake improvement, all these items that we're adjusting because we're over the budget.
Well, Parks and Rec, for instance, we were a little short on that because we ended up replacing some of the mulch, right? The mulches. So, there's That's generally what kind of happens anyways, Walt.
And you'd already adopted that motion, or the
Right.
budget adjustment.
So there's things that come up during the year that.
We had a company do the bridge, for example, the
Right.
Oak Island Bridge. That was not anticipated at all at the time we adopted it, but we went ahead with it.
Okay.
Mike, the bridge repair, that's Oak Island, that's not Benstein.
No.
No, absolutely right.
Betsy
Remember, we
is next
deferred
year.
that till next year.
Got it.
Okay, I'm good.
So actually, overall,
I mean, the net effect on the general fund is as Councilman York points out, to the negative, about $20,000. And, they're just things that, fast forward is the word, fast backward, isn't it? But if you were to put yourself in the mind of when we were adopting the budget in May, some of these things simply weren't anticipated.
no, for instance, the biggest one on there, one of the biggest ones was the software program.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember, that was a $52,000 investment
General equipment,
that
too.
we put in, so.
It's
yeah.
generators.
Yeah, so, I mean, actually, as a whole, it actually turned out fairly
Very well,
good
yes.
so far, so. So with that, I guess, roll call vote?
York?
Yes.
Singlewood?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Newmeyer?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Mallon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to that. We got discussion on the three options on the McCoy LG pond that we've had some discussion about, so.
We have Mr. Powell here and Mr. Valdez, the resident Valdez? Yeah. Yes, from Killarney. I don't know if you want Mr. Powell to speak on behalf of this?
Sure.
Or,
Let's have Mike speak on it first, if you could, Mike.
Absolutely.
Mr. Valdez.
Just to refresh council's memory, we had proposed possibly utilizing the stockpile of material developed over the years here in the village to fill that pond area along McCoy. We had two issues we were trying to resolve. One, we have a large pile of stockpiled material in the Commerce Township Park. What do we do with that? And we have a hole over on McCoy that could possibly be used. The cost to fill that hole was upwards near between $30,000 and $40,000 by taking that material and dropping it into that hole. And that was only about a quarter of the material necessary to fill it. So another opportunity was that the big trucking companies haul material all over this area, and they're constantly looking for a place to dump material for free. And we met with them and a contractor, the Bob Russo Excavating Company, and they would provide enough material in about 2 weeks' time to fill that entire pond area between Killarney and Wilkshire, just north of McCoy, and then we would have a dozer on Wilkshire and on Killarney and push the material in until we flattened that area out. That was only about $12,000 to do that and have the material drop for free instead of moving the pile that we had. Bottom line is, there was a discussion that council was having as to what extent do we do that work? How does it impact the adjacent lots? The village owns 6 of the lots in there, and one of the property owners who's here tonight owns 2 of those lots. It has implications on his home, which is the first home on Killarney, and it really drains his backyard, and then he's very concerned about what the impact of filling is going to be on his property and the potential of having a house between him and McCoy. So it was, we had a very congenial meeting with those homeowners, he and his wife, and it was very clear that they would prefer, because they have their house built and they're used to having the view out of their home, not having a house next to them looking to the south towards McCoy. They were very willing to work with the village to allow for the filling of that pond on their 2 lots, because they know that they would not be participating financially, they would at least consider giving one of the two 25-foot lots to the village in kind of payment or in reward for filling that parcel. However, they wanted to make sure that a couple things happened. They wanted to make sure that their yard was delineated between the village property and their property with some type of a split rail fence, something that delineates between the two. And they wanted to make sure that there was no home placed on the village parcels on the Killarney side of that pond. On the Wilkshire side, the village owns the 4 lots that are underwater on that side. So as Mr. Smith presented to you in your packet, there are really 3 options that the council can discuss. One is not do anything, leave it just the way it is. It's been working fine for as long as any of us have been around, even Ed. Sorry, Ed.
50 years.
And we could fill a portion of it, fill the Wilkshire side, because we have control over all the lots on the Wilkshire side, or we can work with the property owner and provide for a guarantee that no home would be ever built on their side, on the Killarney side, until such time as they were to leave. And they had no problem with that. They're just used to not seeing a home there. So we could develop a sunset clause saying that if and when they sell their house, when they leave, then that relieves the village of their word that nothing would be built on the Killarney side of those lots. So that being said, I can certainly address any of the technical issues. The homeowners here that can correct me if I misstated anything and can represent himself very well and answer any questions council might have.
First, Mike, have anybody been out there to, now that there's probably enough ice to walk on, to find out how deep that hole is?
We haven't. We certainly have firsthand experience. The property owner has been out there, and he has been right in the middle of it. And I believe he said there's about 4 feet of water and about 4 feet of muck underneath there. So,
my only take on this is that if we fill this in, obviously his property values are going to increase.
I'm not an expert in that, so, right.
The way the house is. And I would think that, is the guardrail fence something that he wants the village to do, or he wants to do?
This would be a post and rail, just a split rail
Just
fence,
split
not a
rail
guardrail
fence,
fence.
not a guardrail.
Just something to delineate
who's
the
doing
village
that?
property. That would be village responsibility.
So the village is going to pay for that,
That is correct.
and the village is going to pay for all the labor involved, and then
And then we get a lot.
and then there's
2.
we get 1 lot, but
Just
the
one
other
lot.
lot, we can't build on that 1 lot because there's not enough room. So we're going to give him all that space, open space, until he moves.
It would be lawn until he moves. And keep in mind, and I want to make sure that council understands this, from an engineering perspective, it would be very difficult to ever put a home on that without a number of years going by. And whatever goes on there, it would be piles. And so it is not going to be the most desirable lot, and it'd be a very costly lot to build on. Whether or not you'd ever be able to sell it for anything other than just a parkland, I wanted to be very clear as your engineer that you're not going to turn around and sell that for a $100,000 lot for somebody to build.
But we have quite a few homes in this community that are on piles.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's nothing new. But I don't see this ultimatum that if we want to fill in that swamp, pond, whatever, and put up his fence and also give him this piece of property until he moves. I would just go with my opinion would be, if we do the whole thing, we do the whole thing without any extra caveats to it, or we just do the Wilkshire side and leave the water over there. I just don't see that the village should be paying for all this when his property values, because of what we're doing, are going to definitely increase. I would think he'd be happy that we're doing it, period.
Well, and I don't think you should look at it as an ultimatum. 'Cause
Right.
He's
Yeah, I
offered to
agree.
give a 25-foot parcel, so, for us, but real fence. so-
Before we get into a whole bunch of discussion here, why don't we let the property
Yeah.
owner speak too? I
Well,
mean,
he's-
his house is gonna be next to it, so, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
State your name and your address. for
Tim
me.
Valdez, 1630 Killarney, and lived there 20 years. Great place to live. Love the pond, whatever you want to call it. My concern is, it's not the guardrail. Great idea, love it. The Wilkshire part, I'm afraid if you fill half of that pond in, I call it mine, sorry, half of that pond in, it's just going to flood us out. Because
Yeah, I
the
know.
last meeting we had, you said on that weekend, where a big storm was coming in, and it did. And that's the first time I've seen the pond get as high as it was. And about another 6 inches in height, I would have been swimming. And this is the first time in 20 years that I've seen it go up that high. I don't know, it was draining, because I checked all the drains all the way down the line that go all the way to the lake. Every time it rains, I'm out there getting soaked, looking to make sure. We had a break in the rain, it drained out. It was perfect. From my understanding, we're giving you 25 feet, one of our lots, compensate for that, and then we're keeping the other 25 feet. I'm not giving you 50 feet. I'm giving you half of it. I am benefiting by you guys filling in the pond, you're right, but you're also benefiting because I'm giving you 25 feet.
Right.
I mean, you know, you want to buy it? You want to buy 2 lots? You know, I can sell you 50 feet, you know, but that's not what this is about, you know. I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I'm trying to work with you guys. I'm a little easier to work with than my wife is. This guy knows that. And yeah, you too.
They are a very,
No, she's
very
watching.
sweet family, on the record.
But like I said, I'm all for you guys filling it and doing whatever you want
Well,
with
what's
your
your
part,
true
except for
feeling?
the
Would you
house part,
rather see
until
it-
we move.
Well, sorry, I was interrupting. Go ahead.
No, until we're done living there. You know, I'm 60. I could be 20 years, could be 10 years. Who knows? Could be 50. You know, and then you guys can do whatever you want there. You know, you build a house towards McCoy Way or whatever. You know, but it's just, I'm concerned about the Wilkshire part, the half. And you're the best engineer that I know, and you've kept me from
I
flooding
think
out.
I'm the only engineer you know.
And my big concern is, all right, you remove half the pond, you fill it in with dirt, you do whatever you have to do. Where does that water go when it comes in? Because the tube going out is only so big, and the tube, you know, I know it balances out, but it wasn't last time it rained. I was like, oh boy, you know, so that's where I stand, that's where we stand, so.
What is your feeling of you and your wife? Would you rather have it filled in or just keep it the way it is?
We're so used to the pond. Everybody thinks it's a mosquito haven. It's not. I mean, I'm amazed that it's not. We had somebody come out and look at the pond and see if it was algae. It's duckweed growing on top. So it's like, well, we can't treat it because it goes, you're wasting your money. It goes down to you guys, you know, the big lake. We thought about putting a pond, water fountain in there, but it's like, all right, I decided I'm not wading out there. And I've been out there, it's about 3 feet deep, you know, and about 6 feet of muck. So I've been out there rescuing kids. You know, my wife, she didn't want it filled. I told her, it is an increase in value of our house, you're right. Hard part is if we ever try to sell our house, we have to find a person that doesn't mind having a pond 3 feet from their back door,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
right? So this benefits us greatly, and we talked about it, and, you know, it's not that you're not going to get the 25 feet, and eventually you'll be able to build something there. We're so used to not. You know, our kitchen table's there, where I cook's there, and we just look over this pond. You know, I put a sunrise, I see the sunrise over it every morning, and it's just like, I'm just used to seeing this pond.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I have 8 kids. I pulled 8 kids out of that pond. I mean, you know, and they stink. You know, and so, you know, you just hose them off, but what do you do? You know, so.
Okay, well, thank you. I know this is something we've talked about for quite a while. You know, and there's been some concerns about somebody dumping a car in there, so.
Yeah, and personally, I don't think option 2 is a good one to fill half of it.
I agree with you, because you're gonna create a bigger problem with the open area behind it.
It's all or
Plus,
nothing.
what's gonna keep that fill from washing into the other one.
That's correct.
Over the years.
And if-
Okay, but I'm not in favor of an ultimatum on the community. Lots here, unfortunately, are at a premium in this village. People want to live here. People do want to build, like you said, there are homes that are on stilts or whatever, pilings, and lots sell. People build. And to put that restriction on the community, and I can understand the man's point of view, but I also have to look at the total package for the total community. If that's the case, my thing would be stick with number 1 and leave it alone, put up a guardrail.
Keep in mind that you had mentioned a guardrail. We're talking something totally different. We're talking about a split rail fence between Tim's property and the balance of the property owned by the village. The guardrail is an issue.
We were talking about putting a guardrail on McCoy, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
And certainly, I can
That's what I was
address that.
referring to.
Is that the next
Still
item?
under item 1.
Okay. So that, quite frankly, we tried to do a number of years ago. There's a specific number of warrants, there's a specific criteria that has to be met in order for the county to even allow a guardrail in their right-of-way. Guardrails are inherently dangerous themselves. And so we worked with the road commission, and they refused to even allow a guardrail on McCoy because there's never been a documented accident there that warrants a guardrail.
Mike, one
I
quick
personally-
question is, when we throw all this material in there, obviously, there's going to be water being forced, muck being forced. Do you anticipate any type of structural damage to the existing house?
I do not, and obviously, some borings have to be done and some very careful monitoring has to take place. The intent would be to pump the water down before you actually start the filling, so you don't just push the water towards their house. And so there's a lot of engineering that still needs to be done, some surveying that needs to be done, so we're just talking conceptually right now, so.
Plus, okay, you pump the water. How much of that muck is going to absorb what you're putting in? Okay, that's another, I would think, possibility of a problem.
Yeah.
This should dry out, though. If you take the
Yeah, but the
surface
water
off-
don't stay out. Every time that you have a rain or anything, it's back. I mean, you're the engineer, I'm
We're
asking.
talking about 2 weeks to fill it, though.
Yeah.
We're talking a long time.
I'm expecting, if you think about it, you'd start from one side and push. As you push, the muck's going to push ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so we would confine that to the center and then
It'll come
let
up
it
to the surface.
decant by itself, and then slowly it would stabilize between the two fill.
And I have one other question. Now, there is a culvert pipe to the other side of the road.
There is.
Okay, is that fill going to affect that we're going to have a problem with that community later because they are now overflowing?
Actually, that pipe
I
flows
don't
into the
know.
village,
Yeah.
and we would leave McCoy Road ditch line remaining, so that pipe would flow down the McCoy Road ditch into our storm sewer, or into the storm sewer, and then into the lake, just like it does now, but it would stay within the ditch line and not flow into a
Yeah,
pond.
because the home across there, they
Oh.
put an aerator in, and that's the reason I ask. I mean, I don't know if we're going to create a bigger monster on that side of the road.
Remember, that's the outlet to the entire subdivision there to the
Right.
south as well.
Am I
So
the
we
only
have
one
to
that
maintain
is
it.
okay with the sunsetting clause then on council?
I personally,
I'm okay with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Mike, the one concern I have about.
I don't blame you for not wanting to have a house there.
This is not forever. I mean, we're not talking about a
That
forever
lot,
situation.
It's not that somebody couldn't build on it or won't, but it's unlikely.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's
It's
unlikely
not
today,
frightened land.
Today.
but in 10 years, it might be very likely.
If
I can, real quick. I've looked at this on several different, so from an outsider's standpoint, just so you know, they're not gonna put piles there to build a house. That's a very, they're gonna have to spend $70,000 on a lot, and then probably another $60,000 for, and it's not lakefront. Where you see piles in the Village of Wolverine Lake are on lakefront. They are not gonna spend that kind of money on a busy road or build it next to a busy road. They're having a hard time finding a buyer for the 2 vacant lots on Penny Lake or Wolverine Drive now that splits the Greenway drain, because they have to put pilings there. And so they're not, I see what you guys are saying, and I can appreciate that, but they're not going to spend that kind of money to put pilings into a lot on the corner lot there on McCoy. So that was I just wanted to make sure everybody realized that's where the pilings come from, is lakefront.
And I'm not looking at, the way I personally look at it, I'm not looking at it as a money-making situation for the village.
Same
I'm
here.
looking at,
It's a beautification.
well, and solving a
Cleaning up
safety
the
issue
whole
safety
possibly
issue,
for
yeah.
McCoy, which we've discussed numerous times. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not a lot of money to solve a safety issue down the road.
I agree.
Mike, one last comment, and I hope before you get started, we talk about this, but I think if you came from Wilkshire, no, his house is on what, Clarny? If you push from Wilkshire and all that material is being pushed towards his house, that'd be a problem. I think you're gonna have to start from his house and go the other way.
He's talking about.
Actually, the
both
plan
ways.
would be pushing from both directions at once.
Going from the houses back
From the
towards
houses
McCoy.
back towards McCoy, that is correct. So that way we can empty 2 trains
Okay.
and 2 trucks at the same time and have a dozer on each side.
Yeah, just so we're not pushing.
Oh,
towards the house.
absolutely. You're right
Okay.
on, Ed.
Call for the vote.
So, I mean, how is the motion?
Oh, there's no motion right now.
Yeah, I know.
How do you frame that?
Well, I guess we've got 3
Option, or
options
you
if we
do it?
want to make a motion to accept one of
I'll
the
make
3
the
options.
motion that we fill it in and with a sunsetting clause, not to build a home until after, forgive me, I forget your name. Until they.
Second.
Tim Valdez.
I'll second.
Motion by Dumont, second by Mr. Sienkiewicz. Any further discussion? Okay, so we're looking at filling it, and we're approximating around $12,500.
Correct.
Thereabouts.
Correct.
So, okay. So, roll call vote, I guess.
York,
Yes.
Sinkowitz,
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Mallett.
Reluctantly, yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for the guidance, Council.
Thank you.
Wow. Didn't think we'd ever move forward on that one. Okay. Moving along, we've got a discussion on GFL from our last meeting. Mike was going to get some information.
Yes, Treasurer Condek and I met with 2 representatives from GFL on February 6th to discuss our current contract and possible amendments and all the questions that were brought up from the council and from residents alike, to discuss getting larger refuse containers similar to Commerce Township and what they contracted with to get the 96. I kept saying 95, but 96 gallon. We also discussed all the questions that council had, and then we update on those. So, I don't know if we want to just state the carts. We did reach out to them. We're still waiting to hear back what their upcharge or anything would change if we were to add on. We talked about negotiating if we added 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to the current contract. Again, it doesn't have to be done today. We still have a year and 10 months left on the current contract. But if there was enough interest from the council and the residents to increase the size of the, there would be a lot of steps to take place, and it might not roll out till January 1 of 2021, and then you kind of have those negotiating features. We reached out to a company that they work with. They had stated that the carts, if we wanted to buy carts for all of the residents, which was 1,712, is that what we're up to now? 1,710, 12? And then we'd purchase a couple extra just to have them on hand. Would be $83,000 if we wanted to purchase new, which they would be blue with our logo stamped on it. We'd all be consistent across the village, but then we would have to update our ordinances so that would basically be the new container. You could still purchase other ones, but that would be the main one that they would pick up. They do not use the claw arm. They have the, in the rear of the truck, they have the, I don't know what, where they lock them in and then the hook, and then they pull them in. They will continue to do that. They will not be doing the automated. They don't have those trucks available to do that. If you've been seeing that, they were even kind of news to a couple of them. They had stated that they will continue to pick up, but if you have extra stuff outside of that bin, it's a lot to fill up a 96-gallon garbage can. We would keep our same size recycling. We would not increase that. It would just be purely for the garbage. So we're waiting to hear back on what the contract amendments would be. So I guess that's all we have as of right now. But we did meet with them. They were very willing to work with us. You know, we had a lot of questions about that. And we talked about, I think there were some residents that we had stated, someone had stated that they have like 10, 12 cans or whatever, and they pick it up, but if that continues to be a problem, please, they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be having their home business, all of their refuse out there. That's not how this is supposed to be, happening. So please let us know if you see that, and they will just stop picking that up, because they need to take that elsewhere. If there's drywall or whatever, things like that. So I guess that's where we're at. We're kind of waiting to see whether or not you want to move forward with, but the cost would be $83,000 to purchase the new carts, plus what the rates would be then increase for the actual refuse collection per resident. So,
Mike, would you, if a resident didn't want the new container, or is it all or nothing?
it's this situation, if I recall, was all or nothing, correct?
Yes, sir.
We'd all have to be consistent. Everyone would have those. So when you look down the road, it would all be the same container, just like you see in.
I don't get that much garbage in a month.
Me neither.
But anyway,
There was a smaller. Was it 48? There was a smaller option they stated. Was it 48 gallon?
There's a couple smaller
Yeah.
options, but we didn't price those out.
but I guess I don't know how far you've gotten with them, but if you had one of their, if you put out your own can, would they pick it up?
I believe they.
Would they do both? Either or both?
I think they preferred. They were stating that to be that consistent can. If you had an extra one, they might do it not every week.
Wouldn't that be remedied in our ordinance?
Yes, we'd have to update our ordinance.
That's what the remedy is.
Yeah.
You just change the ordinance.
Yeah, to state that you all have a 96 gallon container and this is all you can use.
I'm not in favor of it.
No, not for that.
Not for the cost.
And I don't think
Well,
majority of
currently,
the
we don't have
residents
to
would
do
either.
anything for a year and 10 months.
No, we
anyways.
don't. But we met with them,
Garbage is
talked about
expensive
it.
enough on the residents, not
So
throwing.
the question is, residents could buy one of those containers and they will pick that, if they need 96 gallons, they'll pick that up, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
That's how it should be.
The way they stated is that some of the residents they have in Commerce, some other communities, they've taken on Waterford, Oxford, they give you like a 30-day trial period, where if you have that bigger one and say, it's too big, you can go down, but after that, it's.
I think that was the big concern. There was residents that wanted the ability to
Well,
use.
some did,
big-
some
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they prefer that it's consistent,
Yeah.
that it's all the same.
$20
So,
in one of those.
we got the answers. Like I said, we still have a contract for
They were
2 years.
200.
We can look
Recycled
at that in the
plastic.
next.
Well-
But we met with them.
While we're talking about GFL, if I may, on our council email, there's a letter from them, their president, vice president, someone, about the
Recycling?
recycling.
I just pulled it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
So I was gonna speak on it.
also, if anyone's interested to go, I think Huron Township, that you can see what they go through for recycling,
Mhm.
okay? But I happened to see it before I
I
came to
just
the
saw
meeting.
it this
Yep.
afternoon also.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, they're talking about their new.
So remember, we talked about recycling here a couple months ago.
Right.
and-
The only reason I bring it up, because we were talking
Yeah,
about them.
that was a concern because we were gonna end up having to possibly increase our fee because of the recycling issues. And this was just a letter from GFL this
Right.
afternoon that stated that they actually purchased a materials recovery facility in Huron
Right.
Township. And they were gonna make that available to,
If anyone wants to
anybody
view
would
it,
wanna go
as a
view
matter
and
of
see
fact,
what happens to
you know, it might-
recyclable materials and how they classify it and everything, so. But they
Mike-
are not taking and landfilling our recyclables,
Right.
basically is
Mike,
what they're saying.
If you are interested in going or something, I would be interested in seeing that because I believe it's something that can be related to the residents, you know, of the community.
Mhm.
If someone has firsthand viewing, or even if presidents or people from associations are interested.
Right,
I think it'd be a plus for the community.
I agree. Good catch. Okay, I think we've got enough on garbage, right?
Yeah.
Moving on to,
Second call.
second call of the public, and
I put it earlier.
Sorry, Barnes.
Still only-
the clock is gone. We're 8:10.
Close enough.
8:12.
So, anybody open for second call of the public? Please state your name, limit to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't say anything about the home.
No. Christine Nedrow, 515 Laguna Court. On the trash thing, like you said, we do not do enough trash. We have a trash compactor. We can put out a trash once every 2 months and that. So, I mean, we don't need huge cans. And another point to that is I've been driving around looking and paying attention since Commerce has them. And through our village, when I drive around, I don't see a lot of cans outside. We keep ours in the garage. A lot of people, they have them put away. If you go by now, Commerce, they have all those big cans. Everybody almost has them out in front of their house all week long. So that's a distraction, I think,
Yeah.
from our community.
Never thought of that.
See those big things
Good
out there.
point.
So I just wanted to point that out. That's it.
Thanks for talking trash.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Advice when you get home.
I will. Seeing none other, I'll close the second call of public. Discussion, an update of Clara Miller Park and Amelia Park.
Yes, so in regards to Claire Miller and Amenia, the slides were delivered. We did do an administrative decision to kind of expedite movement of the slides. We talked to the installers. It was Burke Snyder installed Burke equipment. And they had stated where it was placed in Amenia, the smaller one made sense. We're going to have DPW. I've talked to Andy about putting in a security fencing of some sort at the parking lot, so you don't have that. We still have the safety zone. Talking to them, they had stated it's perfectly within reason, within scope. That's where they have that all the time. And then the intent, I hope, is to move forward, whether this year or next year, to finish Amenia and actually put in swings in the circle bed. So we have swings, we actually have something for the residents, because a lot of times we hear no one goes there. Well, there was nothing to go to actually do. So we're gonna try and have swings, maybe like a little bouncer rocker. I've talked to Andy about putting some arborvitae for like some nice screening or whatever against the properties, spruce it up, and then just maintain it and move on. Pocket Park is complete. As far as Clara Miller Park, I think we need to discuss the future of the proposal that is still being discussed in the Park Center and or the rehab of the current restrooms. I think we're kind of at a stalemate the last time. I believe we were still waiting. We got some drawings done. I believe that Councilman York and Mark were kind of working on. I don't know if where we're at with that, but I think council, we need to kind of bring that back up and see whether or not we just have that as a discussion item at the goal session next week, next time.
And I'd like to address that because honestly, I was a little disappointed. Mark and I had a really good meeting back in December when I provided the drawings. And the whole thing was based on, okay, this is basically what you can do for 90 grand. And maybe you could do a little bit more, which is what we have budgeted. So that they were going to take them back and review them and then get back to us. So then I read the meeting minutes here and let me quote it from the last meeting. Board members, where did it go? The drawings are not adequate for what is needed and we're Clara Miller and feels the board is back to square one. I don't know how we're back to square one. And so I can't attend the 24th meeting because I'll be on vacation, but my plan is to come to the 16th meeting of March and then to find out, because there's no proposal and no why it doesn't meet. Why are we back to square one? I don't understand that. Frankly, I'm disappointed by it.
That's why I wanted to bring it up to see if we are truly at one or if we need to move forward with. I did attend the M-Parks conference and I did get some quotes from, there's a company in Wisconsin that actually does precast, pre-built, like all in concrete, and that you kind of set up the things. I got quotes from them just out of curiosity. She was there. She's like, yep, I'll submit it to you. You can do different things. They have one where it's just 2 restrooms and then like a little, basically almost exactly what the restrooms look like currently, where you have 2 restrooms and then in middle utility facility. It's called the Badger Building, and that one comes in at $83,500, where it's precast. Everything even has a roof. You can decide what colors you want. You can make it look like stone or brick, but it's all can look like hardy board, whatever it is. All that we would have to do is then have extra engineering to have the pad ready, and that's it. And then they would come in, just install it. Perfect. And it's done. The other option was we had talked about is I believe that's been come up as well, is either having that as an extra building or just completely raising the current restrooms and utilizing that pad that's currently there, already has the plumbing, and then putting it on that.
Adding onto that.
Because, it's still, I'm sure the pad is still
Yeah.
of quality. Then you just cut it down. The other option was to have this building as a second building with ADA compliant restrooms, and then rehab those bathrooms, get rid of the plumbing, knock down the interior walls, put up a sliding, and make that a utility space, concession door, whatever you want to call it, use the block wall that are currently there, but remove the bathrooms, have this as another building, but then that would increase the cost, and then we'd have to go into next year's budget, kind of to do that. So, I don't know, probably just want to have that as an item for the next work session. And then I would actually like to have maybe a joint session again with Parks and Rec at the March meeting, so we can all get back on board with each other.
That'd be good.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, we're not really back to square one, in my opinion. And we just should communicate a little bit better from the Park and Rec Board side of things to council, what it's going to be used for, why we need this building, and what the volunteers want to use the building for.
Yeah, I think that's clear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I think that's clear what is needed, but why we're back this, or maybe we're not back this square one, but why is it not meeting the needs?
I think we're good.
It doesn't say in here why we're not meeting the needs, right?
We'll work together. Mike, I think that was a great recommendation.
Yeah, I do.
To have another joint meeting in March, correct?
Yeah, the second work session that we would normally have. And I think that date might work. It's the fourth Wednesday. You might move your park board to that. I don't know.
Can I ask Andy a question while he's here?
Sure.
Andy, the restrooms that are there now, is the water get shut down for the winter?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we put in a new building, we're gonna have to do the same thing or pay to heat it?
Yeah.
Okay, you answered my question, thank you.
Mike, one quick question. On the Armenia Park, I brought up many times about that the wooden structure there was so close to the parking lot. And I just wondered, why is the slide only like 10 or 12 feet from the parking lot? With all that property we have, did somebody tell these guys where to put it, or did they just take it off the truck, found a spot that looked close to the parking lot and put it in?
It's because we already had that safety zone established, and according to their guidelines, they stated because of that other safety zone that's in the back, the big circle, that made more sense where the swings would go, because you have a bigger radius
Yeah.
when you swing, than to put them over, which I think the original plan for Armenia was to have swings where they put the slide.
No, I was mostly concerned about being only 10 feet from a parking lot, that sometimes could be a temptation for somebody who has evil thoughts, that I thought if it was pushed back another 5 or 10 feet on the same line, like a little bit closer to that park bench that's there.
I think-
I mean, I just don't know why, with all that property, it's so close to the parking.
Would you like to move it?
Pardon?
Would you like to move the slide?
I would have liked to put it someplace else. And let's put it this way, if you or not I were the two guys that were gonna put it in, and we had to take it off a truck, and it's snowing and it's cold and drag it, we would probably put it close to the parking lot too, because there's less work. But I don't think that's the ideal location. It's there now and we're stuck with it. And the other point I made up was, I thought that it was agreed in this council that the old slide was gonna go to Armenia, and the two new ones were gonna go to the park.
Old slide we couldn't use.
No, the little one was okay.
No, the little one's not either. There's rust all
Was the little one in bad shape too, Andy?
There's rust spots on the bottom.
There's some rust spots on the
handles.
structural pipes going to the ground.
And when I talked to an actually safety inspector, they stated that all of that equipment is no longer up to code anymore. So you need to remove it, because there are certain things that the standards aren't the same anymore. It needs to be that hardcore commercial plastic grade that we have.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern was that it's in such a close proximity to the park.
And I've discussed that with Andy, and they're gonna be moving on that in the spring to put in the barrier, the split rail fence or whatever it is, so you
Which
have
we were
that.
gonna have there anyways.
Yes. And talking to the installers, they said, no, they install those they're within the safety guidelines, they knew where it was, it's all still within their specs.
Okay.
It makes sense if the swings go in the bigger area.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the update on that. Look forward to the work session in February.
March or February?
February.
February is the goal session.
Goal session.
With
Oh,
council.
okay, yeah,
Goal
yeah.
session.
March would be the joint work session.
And unfortunately, I'm going to be on
Yeah,
vacation.
I would actually ask that we
Lucky
don't
you.
have that topic because I have to travel for work. I won't be here either
Yeah,
On which day?
on the 24th.
yeah.
26th.
No, 26th.
26th?
24th through the 27th is when I'm gone.
Okay.
So,
Just.
I'm gone too.
On the 26th, we have the Assistant Police Academy here too. That was the,
Yeah, well, we can go.
We can always go upstairs.
That's fine.
okay. I know with the joint,
Yeah.
it's gonna be more people, so,
So we're
Oh, in
missing-
March, you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
In March.
so
It's
we're
fine, it could be a
missing-
round table
We're missing
up there.
two,
Okay.
two of us then?
yeah, so I think that specific topic, the fact that he was very integrally involved in the drawing of that,
Right.
he needs to be here. And
Well,
I'd like to be
I think the goal setting session is not necessarily going to be just
Reviewing
drawing
that.
on one topic.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
We'll be cognizant
actually,
of that.
since you guys aren't going to be there, if you put some ideas together though and get them to somebody before that meeting, because we definitely like your input. So. Okay,
Going someplace warm.
moving on. Let's see, we got introduction of the first reading of the ordinance regarding the modification of temporary storage of vessels, docks, and other associated materials. So, Planning Commission went through this, and based upon a couple residents' comments, we went back and modified our storage ordinance, and this is what we came up with, and Jennifer put it in legalese, so.
Well, I haven't yet.
No,
This,
yeah,
what
that's
you have
right.
in front of you is from the planning consultant. When they modified it at the planning commission, they wanted you to see where they've made the changes. I think this was something that came out of ZBA to planning commission, possibly.
Well, it was actually our code enforcement officer.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there had been some issues, I thought, at ZBA as well, and so this issue was looked at more universally by the planning commission, so, I mean, these are just the changes that the planning commission is suggesting to make. So if you like all these changes, then I'll put it in a format for you for adoption for next month.
What is the difference between required and unrequired?
Sorry, Judge.
It's, well, you could have a required is within setbacks, unrequired is not within setbacks of the house, correct?
Okay.
So there's a
So that means they don't have to be within the setbacks. That's what this is saying.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to, what it's saying is you can have you can store a boat on the side of your house now,
Right.
which
And you don't have to be 5 foot from the
you have to be
property line.
5 feet from the house, but it still has to be on the property.
Yeah.
So that's the stipulation there. And the 5-foot rule to a house or structure is a BOCA code.
Fire code.
Fire code, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the reasoning for that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Well, any comments on this?
No? Need a
We need a
motion?
motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to introduce? Second. Motion by Duff, second by Malik. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries on that one. Second one is introduction of, and first reading of the ordinance to amend general code for tobacco. And that's, I'm assuming this is relating to the passage of the tobacco.
Federal law.
So this
Federal
is
law,
this
yeah.
is a couple of different things.
Revised.
The state made some revisions to kind of enforcement issues, I guess, sanction issues that we're addressing. The court, our court, 52nd First, is having difficulty because of the way that the legislation is written with the civil infractions. You can just pay your first ticket and, you know, you're good. But with the juveniles, they want more enforcement measures. They want to get stricter and tougher with the vaping and nicotine products with the kids. And so they wanted the communities in that district to rewrite all their ordinances. So all the communities are actually, we've had meetings with the judges, and we're all writing basically the same ordinance or similar provisions, so that the judges actually want to set up a special program like they do like sobriety court and veterans court, they kind of want to do like a vaping program or something, I guess. So we've made some changes. Then the other change that they've requested that we do is the federal government adopted some legislation that changed the age of minors from 18 to 21 for this purpose. And although our state has not yet adopted that legislation, our courts wanted us to do that, to be ready for that when it does. So those changes are in there as well. Basically, they're getting stricter with the kids and the vaping and the nicotine violations.
But we also don't want them to become criminal offenses either. So
Right, stricter in the sense of helping them.
Right.
Not just giving them, pay a fine and go. You know, because these kids can circumvent the process too and pay the fine and no one knows. So it's not meant to penalize, it's meant to help and educate.
So we need a motion to introduce.
So I do have one quick question. So
Yeah.
we pass this, right? And let's say Walled Lake doesn't. So somebody that's 18 years can go in to our party store, can't buy a pack of cigarettes, but they can go to Walled Lake and buy a pack of cigarettes?
No.
It's still, what this is the possession of. They still can't sell, no party store, no store can sell any cigarette or tobacco products to anyone under 21.
Right.
Okay.
As it stands. What this does is gives us a little more leeway to educate rather than punish.
Sure, sure.
So if Walled Lake doesn't, for example, pass this, it's still going to be taken under district court or 52-1 district court. We're still going to address it there. And I still believe everybody in our areas are doing the same thing.
There, I mean, we've been talking to all the lawyers
We
and
have
all the
another meeting on
communities. and
Friday
they're all
about
doing
it, so, and everybody's been on board, so I don't see that to be an issue, but it's, what this law is trying to do is make sure everything is covered, so when the federal law does kick in, everybody's still getting the same thing.
Chief, for clarification, you said a tobacco product.
Correct.
So if they went in and bought a vaping type instrument that
Correct.
didn't use tobacco?
Correct.
That's included as well.
Oh, that's included too?
That's included as well.
Okay,
It's in the descriptions.
all right.
The definition includes all those things.
Okey doke.
Yeah, it's right here.
Any other discussion?
Like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Malik, second by Duff. Had enough discussion, I think. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah.
Let's see, set additional topics for administrative committee meeting. Following the meeting, I don't think there really is anything that we need to discuss besides what we had on the agenda. So, set topics for February 26th work session.
Will we have quorum?
We're gonna, as far as I know, Scott's gotta be here. So we'll have 5.
Yeah,
I will not be here.
but you,
Yeah.
You won't be here, right?
You gonna give us,
Yeah, well, you won't be here either?
I will not.
Yeah, so you have two people that really want to have input. I think, my motion is to cancel it.
so move it to
second
March?
Yeah?
Yeah,
We were gonna have the Parks and Rec at March meeting, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess-
Because they're-
we'll multitask.
well, their input's
I guess we
important.
can- I agree.
Yeah.
So, I
I'll
mean,
second that motion.
Okay. Well, we'll cancel February, move it to March, but I don't think we wanna back it out any further than
No.
March, though.
No.
That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Because don't we have budget coming up in April or May?
Yeah, that's why we wanted
Yeah,
to
well-
try to get ahead of it.
But again, my only point is.
No, I understand.
Both have a concern, and.
Yep, I agree.
That's
That's what I was
important
gonna
input.
say,
Yeah.
get some information to us, but if we wanna cancel and move it to March, I guess we can do that, so.
All those in
At
favor?
that point.
Point of
yeah.
order?
What's that?
Point of order, you have a motion
Yep.
and a second.
Yep, okay, motion by Malik, second by Duff, to cancel the February 26th work session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries on that. We have no pending business. Update from Police Chief Ellsworth.
January's been a very busy month, as you can see by the statistics. I also spent a couple of days in Grand Rapids at the Cheese Conference and learned a lot last week. I also learned that our Chevy Tahoe will be here by next week, so that's a good news. Jen Valdez, I did not say anything. A speed sign on Benstein, we learned, must be moved. Last year, before we put this up, myself, the deputy chief, and Andy Stone were in my office and discussing the placement of the speed sign that's down on Benstein. We wondered if we needed permits. We contacted Oakland County Road Commission, talked to them, talked to the man himself, and he said no. So we went ahead with it. I got back from my conference and there was a phone message for me to contact him. And so we did, and he said, it's got to be moved, it's got to be on a breakaway pole, and you can't use any colors. And he said you needed permits for that, and when I told him, we called you specifically, and I called Mr. Stone in my office, I said, listen to this, and then we both kind of looked at him and went, we specifically asked this very same person, and I called him back and said, okay, what's going on? He said, well, you know, that you can't have that on a pole, and the way the sign is, and we had talked about this, but it's 18 gauge, it's fairly thin, it's probably less than what the guardrails are, and I don't know if I don't know what, I'm not even going to go why I think it has to be changed. So we're looking into different options. One of them is going to be possibly down here across from the dam on Glengarry, if we have to do that, because we have to keep it on our roads because they don't want it on their roads. So, but other than that, it's been a very hectic, busy 6 weeks since the first of the year. And I'm looking forward to going to the Keys in a couple weeks. That's it.
There's no golf courses in the Keys, is there?
Yes, there is.
A couple, yeah.
There's one and we'll play 3 times.
Okay, thanks, John. Mr. Kendick?
Nothing here, Mr. President.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. I want to thank the DPW for their great work during the couple snowstorms that we've had, keeping our roads plowed and salted, that all the residents, I sure are appreciative of. The Citizens Academy, surprised you didn't say anything about that.
I knew it was on your list.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to stay you.
Sure. It's out there right now. You can actually go on our new website, go click under the police department, and then it directs you to sign up through the Novi website because they already have a form, wonderful forms set up. The first one looks like is March 4th, the first tentative schedule. The flyer is out there.
That's
Sign
Wednesdays again?
Wednesdays again.
Yeah. And ours, like you stated, will be here week 4, March 25th. So it's a great program. Get involved with all the residents. Those who may attend, you have to be 18 years or older. So Novi, South Lyon, Walled Lake, Wixom, and Wolverine Lake are all partners in this police academy. And President Nedrow also received this about the 2020 Bicentennial Oak Tree Program through Oakland County, because it is their anniversary of their, and I talked to Andy, talked to Tab, and I believe that we're gonna try and find, I don't know if there's any HOAs or any groups that are interested, but we can order in bundles of 25 some oak trees to help with that. They're trying to get people to plant those. I was gonna say, Andy and I talked, maybe 50 was a good thing to have, and then we can find spots they come in little seedlings. We pick them up in April, so we might direct them out to HOAs or whoever if you want to have one planted. You can come and get one. We'll have more information about that, but that's all tailored into the 200-year anniversary of Oakland County being founded. So get that order in. We have the 2020 State of the Lakes Chamber Luncheon, so I guess I would need to know who wants to attend out of the council. That is Tuesday, March 31st at Edgewood. So if you want to email me, or I guess just tell me if you want to go. Just remind me, let me know so we can get in. We need to have the reservations by March 24th. So if you know your schedule, again, it's Tuesday, March 31st. It starts at 10:30 a.m. at Edgewood. We'd just like to know anyone is welcome. President Nedrow will be a guest speaker, and the keynote speaker will be Dave Coulter, who's the current Oakland County executive, amongst all the other supervisors and local mayors. dignitaries, yes.
What's the name of it again?
It's the chamber luncheon.
State of the Lakes.
Lakes
State of
area.
Lakes. State of the Lakes.
Lakes,
Okay,
yeah.
I will. Thank you.
As we know, probably, by the time we meet next, the election will take place. So March 10th is the presidential primary. Call and sign up now and get your absentee ballot. Call Commerce Township, they're the ones who handle them. I know we've had a couple residents come in here, but they take all the ballots. Contact them. They do have new envelopes. We're trying to, all the clerks around the state are trying to say they don't come in the manila anymore. So a lot of times people might see it, it's in a blue envelope. And then the interior is in a green envelope, so it looks different, so people aren't familiar with that manila. It's no longer a manila one, if you do get an absentee ballot. If you're interested in running for village office or beyond, whatever, filing deadline for village council is by 4 p.m. on July 21st. For other offices, if anyone out there in the is April 21st for all partisan offices. So if anyone's interested in running for county commissioner, state rep, anything like that, it's April 21st, just to remind you of that. You can check Oakland County's website for information on that. Commerce Township, Novi, all of the clerks desperately need election inspectors, so for these next upcoming elections. So if you want to volunteer, make some money, reach out to your local clerks, just a reminder about that. We're going to do that. I would like to get information put on the website about each one of you as council members, and maybe even the boards and commissions. At some point, photo or whatever, just to kind of let the residents know a little bit more about you, a little paragraph about, your involvement, your civic engagement, whatever it is, just to get it out there on the website to utilize that more. And I can't believe that next month will already be my 1 year. So we'll have to do my 1 year review. I'll be sending an email with my review, have Brian look at, and then he'll send it out to everyone. So following the council meeting, March 11th, we'll at the admin meeting, we'll go over my review. So it'll be 1 year next month. That is all I have. I appreciate all that.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it sure does.
That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Council comments? Start with Walt. Since Mr. Malik speaking.
Nothing for me.
Ed?
Well, I hope tomorrow everybody can spend time with somebody that they really enjoy being with.
Friday.
And happy Friday. Happy Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow, too.
Yeah. Tomorrow, too. Start early.
I get double laced. I have an anniversary a few days later. A couple of things. I'd like to thank Mr. Condit for the quality of the report you gave us on the finances. It really broke everything down so, we could stumble through it and know where our money was going. Thank you much.
Sure.
And other than that, everybody don't forget to vote on the election day.
Mark?
Have a happy Valentine's Day, and if anybody likes to ice fish, be careful with the ice.
Yeah.
It's kind of sketchy.
One other thing.
Monique?
Can you let us know what people are up for re-election in November?
Oh, right now? Yeah, it's...
Not right now, but,
oh, sure.
Give me an update.
for an update,
Yeah.
Congratulations, Monique.
Yes,
Yes.
And the only thing I have is congratulations and thank you again for serving.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Sekowitz, second by Duff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Are we going upstairs, Mike?